Well, welcome back, everyone. So, as you may have seen in the news lately, and most recently, and a lot more the last couple of days, Bill Cosby is back in the news. He gave his first official interview from the prison where he is currently housed, and he kind of went into his sentencing a little bit, talked about his role as a mentor, trying to persuade other young African American men who are incarcerated with him to go the opposite direction from where they're going currently. The jail staff there have no reports of any issues with him. He has gotten in a couple of verbal arguments and shouting matches with a couple people when he first got there, who basically were trying to goad him into acting out in a manner that was going to get him in trouble. But they've since been either transferred out of the pod where Bill is, or they completed their sentence. So, give you a little bit of history on Bill Cosby in case you don't remember. Bill Cosby was convicted of sexual assault, one count, in September of 2018. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in the state penitentiary there. He is currently housed at the SCI Phoenix, which is outside of Collegeville, Pennsylvania. And as like I was saying, he has been a model prisoner to this point, and well respected and loved by just about every inmate and guard who's there. They've said that they report that they have no problems with Bill at all, and what he's been doing, how he's behaved, and so doing exactly what he said in the interview with Black Press USA. He answered some questions about parole. So in the Pennsylvania where he's at, every single prisoner must go in front of the parole board, even if they have no chance really at parole. Every 2 years, they go in front of the parole board, and it's like their way of checking up with the prisoner to say, okay, this is what you've done. These are the programs that you've been involved in. This is what your disciplinary actions that have been taken against you. Do you feel like you've been reformed? Do you have anything to say for towards your victims? Bill Cosby said that at this point, when he does go in front of that parole board, he is scheduled again sometime in around September of 2020 to go in front of that parole board. He said that he has absolutely no remorse for why he was convicted, not admitting to the charge, but saying he has no remorse and he will show no remorse to the parole board because he doesn't believe that they would understand or that they would be able to comprehend the actual charges, because he doesn't believe that he's actually guilty. So much so, in June of this year, 2019, Bill Cosby and his attorneys did file an appeal of the conviction, even though he's going to be there for, he could be out in as little as 3 years. And we've known that all along. They have filed an appeal to have the conviction thrown out. And the state's evidence to try him for any other charges is circumstantial, hearsay, and wouldn't hold up in a court of law. Now, by no means at all am I saying that Bill Cosby is innocent. I'm just telling you the actual facts of the case, because that is why they only charged him with one count. They didn't charge him with 77 counts because there's so much information that is not there for them to be able to do it. But they were able to convict him of the 2004 drugging there in his actual home, because the evidence was not just circumstantial. There was physical evidence. There was other evidence that actually corroborated the entire case. So the evidence was strong there, and that's why he was convicted. But he's filed an appeal. In the interview to Black Press USA, he also said that the fellow inmates there in the pod penitentiary with him, the ones he has interaction with most of the time, referred to him as Godfather. So, I mean, he's not like he's a crime boss, but they refer to him as Godfather, a term of endearment from the inmates there. Let's see, what else am I missing here? In the interview, Cosby also referred to his cell, where he is the only individual in the cell. He's not in a two-bunk cell. It's a single cell individual to him. And he refers to it as his penthouse. And he said on a daily basis what he does is he goes to his bunk, he lays down, and he repeats the same mantra that he has been telling these individuals that he's trying to mentor to go the other direction in life and to stop their ways of crime. And this was something that Bill decided to join, this mentoring program, on his own. He wasn't mandated to do it. He didn't have to do it. And they didn't even have really a position for him. He made his own position within the mentoring group because he wants to help. So it wasn't like they had a spot, and he just came in and filled that spot, or there's an actual classification for it. He decided to do this on his own. So that's Bill Cosby. Will he get parole in 2020? Most likely not. And even by his own account, he fully expects that he's going to have to serve the entire 10-year sentence, and they're going to try to make him do the entire 10 years. He would be well into his 90s before he would be eligible, be released from prison. Not eligible, but he would be released. So, the likelihood is, as long as he keeps his health up, he would be released in his 90s to go home, and then how much longer will he live after that? We don't know. But, at this point, he does fully expect that the state is going to make him serve out his entire sentence of all 10 years there. Now, to answer quickly, I know people would want to know, but what about the civil suits? Aren't there some civil suits where people can go after some of the millions of dollars that Cosby has? Bill's broke. Bill has absolutely nothing. And Bill did he do it to avoid paying any money to his victims? Probably. But Bill didn't just give it all away. Bill spent it. And he spent it on foolish stuff. And you can't go after his children and other people who already had the money. You can't go after other family members unless you can prove that he was giving the money to them to hide his assets. And you can't, because he transferred a lot of his assets out of his own name to his company's name well before the first allegation was ever made. And he has lived his life off of a stipend, basically, from his own business. So there's no money for them to go after. That's why we haven't seen the courts, clogged up with, all the civil suits in this case. There's nothing for them to go after. He doesn't own a home, doesn't own a car, doesn't have anything at all where anybody could force him to sell it to pay victims. Nothing. And his wife, what she has, is hers. She can prove that the money is hers, and that's where the assets come from. She is not in the you can't just go after and sue just anybody, for anything and say, well, you know what, she helped him, in this crime. She didn't. He committed these crimes well before they were married, and he committed these crimes on his own, and he wasn't convicted of those crimes. You can't say, okay, he wasn't convicted of these crimes, but we're going to go after civil forfeiture on these cases. You can't do it. You can go after the one case that he's actually been convicted of, the one and only case that there was actual evidence of that could be used to prosecute him. And you can't go after him for anything because when that case happened in 2004, he already was broke by 2004. So, Bill Cosby, in the news. Will he get parole? I don't think so. I'm almost certain he won't get parole, and especially if he has no plans of showing any remorse to the parole board when he goes to talk to them. Thank you for joining me today. You stay safe out there. And stay away from the pudding pops.